All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at my screen. I'm going to go into present mode. And just in light of transparency, I'm going to tell you I'm using a new AI app, and we'll see how it works. Okay. Here's the title slide. Here we go. I'm going to go full screen. I think that might be a better viewing experience. All right, so Barbie Chat GPT PD. So the subtitle is "We're Not Robots." So there's a sense of humor in here. We're going to explore something we did in Fullerton School District to help bring educators into using Chat GPT. But first, I'm going to tell you a story. All right, are we good with that? All right, give me a thumbs up if you're up for a story. So once upon a time in a cozy little town, by the way, this is art from Midjourney, which is an AI app. Once upon a time in a cozy little town, there was a dedicated teacher named Ms. Thompson. She was known for her passion and her unwavering commitment to her students. One Sunday morning, she was sipping tea and checking her email, and something extraordinary caught her eye. There was an email with the subject line that read, "A secret nomination." It had arrived in her inbox. Her curiosity was piqued. She opened the email and read with amazement that she'd been nominated for a secret professional development opportunity. The mysterious invitation intrigued her, and without hesitation, she clicked yes to confirm her attendance. Well, as the days passed, Ms. Thompson's curiosity only grew. Then one evening, while grading papers, she received another email, and this one was even more surprising. It invited her to participate in a unique experience, and that was creating a Barbie-like character using an AI app for her upcoming PD. She didn't know if she's ever been asked to do something like this to prepare for a PD event. She thought it'd be fun. And so she did. She clicked the link and she created her Barbie avatar. Here we have a couple examples. These are this is a teacher in my office. This is a teacher who came to our training. It's BAIRBIE.me. With exciting building up.
How accurate was this?
Oh, everyone thought it was very accurate. So the day of the secret PD event finally arrived, and Ms. Thompson walked into the designated location. It's a renovated portable classroom known as the Fort. There were pink lights and crepe paper and Barbie decor, and she saw a small table with all of the teachers' Barbies avatars printed and framed. And she saw hers sitting there too. And they were asked, all teachers who entered, they were asked to take their frame and go put it on their desk and have a seat. So the event began and all the teachers logged in to Chat GPT, and they were asked to create backstories for their Barbie avatars. And then Miss Thompson described her character's love for teaching and adventure, and she kind of grew to like her Barbie avatar even more with this backstory of loving teaching. Then they were paired up with other teachers who were there. So this is Mr. Thompson's colleague, Mr. Anderson, who is a history teacher known for his creative teaching methods. And they were asked to partner up and write a story using Chat GPT about their two characters. And so they collaborated on the story. And then as they worked together, they were asked how they would use Chat GPT prompts to enhance the learning experience for their students. They brainstormed ideas and they each contributed their own unique perspectives. And as time flew by, it was time to wrap up the event. And each teacher was lost in a fantasy world of creating ideal learning environments and experiences for students. They were up in the clouds and they were asked to submit an exit ticket. So in the exit ticket, they had to write a prompt for their best professional development experience ever. And they were asked to then copy the prompt and the response into a Google form and submit it. And so Ms. Thompson thought, what would make her the most satisfied professional development participant ever? And she decided to submit her response with a heart full of gratitude for this experience of using Chat GPT to improve her teaching and learning. All right, so that is the story. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that was Midjourney art all the way throughout. And then the way this experience, so this, what I did is I just wrote what our teachers did, and I asked Chat GPT to write me a story. And then I used Midjourney for the art. But I took the actual just sequence of events our teachers went through. But before we go there, I want to share this, which is our innovation framework. And this is how we came up with the ideas for PD like this. So I'm going to see if this does not open in the iframe, then we will go out and we'll look at it in its own little. So we have a couple of years ago, our superintendent asked us to come up with an innovation framework so that anyone, any department could bring an innovative approach to whatever they did. So our 3 steps are imagine if. So Sir Ken Robinson has a book, kind of an idea of imagine if, like there were no limits on learning. So that's our first phase. So our first phase is kind of a dream big phase. If budget was no issue, if transportation were no issue, if the limits of space and time were no issue, really trying to get teachers to dream big. And then our second step in our innovation framework is, what would it look like if it were easy? And this is from a productivity writer, Tim Ferriss, who says usually someone has already kind of crossed the boundary of what you're trying to do before. Like, he advises a lot of startups. And so he says in the startup world, usually there's somebody who's already done that a year before you did, or 2 years, or with a different product or a similar product in a different field. So call them and ask, what did you do with this hurdle? So we're going to walk through this in a minute. And then our third step of our innovation framework is based on improv comedy, which is the phrase yes and in all of our experiences using this with cabinet members or departments, what happens is people tend to say no but before they say yes and so we have that phrase as the third part of our framework. So I'm just going to go through a couple steps here, examples in the innovation framework. So let's do this. Let's actually do an exercise that we did. Just take 30 seconds and write, imagine if you had all the time, money, resources, everything you needed for the greatest field trip in the world, what would that be? Just type it in the chat. Take a few seconds to do that. All right. A couple more seconds there. All right. Ooh, take the students on a cruise around the world. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So we actually asked teachers this question, but we did it on a retreat. So we took the teachers on a retreat. Let me see down here. We started something called an innovation retreat, and we took 3 teachers out of the classroom for 2.5 days. And the first part of the day, they went on a student field trip. And so we, our innovation team, we have a partnership with the school next door to us, and we mentor students like in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade. So we plan field trips for them. So we came up with a field trip down to Treasure Island and Laguna Beach. It was pirate themed. We asked the kids to take a strengths assessment and interest assessment. We used Thrively, so we got all the students' strengths and interests, and we planned activities that they would do at Treasure Island on the beach overlooking the water that were choice-based. They could go to an art station, they could go to a whatever station they wanted based on their strengths. So that's how our innovation retreat started, with 3 teachers who are not kidnapped, that's not the right word, but they were brought along to observe how our students engaged in this experience. So then we sent the bus home with the students and those 3 teachers. We went down to Carlsbad, stayed in a hotel, and we had a special time away where we asked them, hey, we're going to give you some special resources, but we want you to think big. And so the first step was getting them to dream big. So this was really, we tell a story in the training where we say, there's a jaded, middle school teacher who teaches music, and every year he walks the kids up to the high school, and his music students watch the high school perform, and that's his big field trip. But one day he got a hold of this innovation framework, and he thought, how could I go big with this? If I could take my kids anywhere that's important in musical history, it would be Wembley Stadium, and I would want them to meet the Rolling Stones, and I would want them to jam on stage with the Rolling Stones. So we go through this, how big can you dream for your students? And then the second stage is really focusing in on the networks and resources that you already have. So it's like a scaling down. What would it look like if it were easy? And then the third step is a yes and. And so on our yes and, let's see if I have a slide here. Our yes and are really around before, during, and after events. So we have special invitations, secret messages that go out. We have themed messages, codes, and things that they have to bring into the first meeting and sort of use to decipher what they're going to be doing. But it's all to pique their curiosity. So we think about the before, during, and after of a teacher's experience, and we like the Barbie chat, GPT PD. We're going to go back to that. We themed it around Barbie, and so one of the reasons we chose that for us is it was culturally relevant. It was timely. It was something that was out. Teachers were engaging with it in their personal lives, going to see the movie. And so for us to use the Barbie AI avatar maker was just a way for them to dip their toe in that water of using an AI app. It was definitely something. Yeah, we did get the suggestion of Oppenheimer. Even some of the teachers who walked in said, "Oh, if this had been Oppenheimer themed, what would that be like?" So, but probably be a sadder, more serious PD. So we chose for the Barbie theme. So then we have decor, the pink lighting. We have uplights in our office. The food was pink, the drinks were pink. Everything was themed that way, just to help capture the teacher's imagination, if you will. And so the innovation framework is just to help brainstorm solutions, identify where they want to go. Trying something new is a big deal to help teachers be comfortable. So we're going to go back, and I'm going to go to back into our original presentation. So we use the innovation framework to plan this experience. It was something we'd done with teachers on retreats. And this is just to reiterate kind of where we were with our teachers. The invitations came because we emailed every principal and said, nominate one teacher who is just out there doing creative, risk-taking things with students in the classroom with technology or personalized learning. And so they were actually nominated by their administrator. We just told them someone special had nominated them. But so there was a sense of mystery. Later in the process, we actually shared what their administrator said about them. So there was a little bit of a reveal. Oh, it was my principal who nominated me. Oh, they said this about me. That's really, really kind. And so we had these special designed invitations to this PD. And so they say yes, and then they get a follow-up assignment, which is not homework per se, not like reading an article, but it's doing a Barbie avatar. So that's just building the excitement. So then one thing that we did also is we asked every single teacher who was nominated, if they wanted to have a +1, they could invite somebody. And so we allowed them to bring a grade level partner, just to kind of expand the cohort, because we really didn't have any need to limit it in size. We wanted the more the merrier. So we allowed them to connect to others and bring in people that they would feel confident about. By the way, this this app I'm using is gamma.app. And I literally just typed in the story that I told in the beginning. And I said, create me a slide deck that shows this, so all these images AI just drew in and suggested for me. So they have the digital transformation. We actually printed those. We framed those. It's a little tiny investment, but we thought about it later. It's kind of weird to have a framed picture of yourself, but it's not really you, it's your Barbie. So but it was kind of weird. And there's a huge watermark across it because it's free. And so we had one of our TOSAs Photoshop their name across it, which just got even weirder. Full transparency. Now you have a Barbie of yourself with your name. Like, I don't know. I guess it's okay if you don't know who you are or it doesn't look that much like you. There was one teacher, I don't know how she did it or why, but she sent in her Barbie, which was her sitting on the beach, like looking away from the camera. So it was just the back of her head. So I was kind of mystified by that. But they get those and they find them all printed and laid out in front of them. So some of this is just a little bit of a presentation factor. And so let's move on. So it just helps. It helps them if we're taking the risk to kind of be silly, they feel that they can take the risk to move in that direction as well. And so then with the writing partnership, what we found is that teachers working together on sometimes this was their first Chat GPT prompt. There were teachers in the room. I thought might have had a Chat GPT account, but no judgment, they didn't. So we helped them create that. And then when they paired up, they were helping each other kind of find how to improve the prompts in their creating their backstories for their avatars. And then really the meat of the presentation came, and that is a slide deck, which I'll share with you. And that was just improving the prompt. Like, how do you get a better prompt? I'm going to go to this. This was our slide deck. Let's see if it pops up here. So we had some quotes. I forgot, when we asked them to sign up, the Google form, the last question was, what's your mantra? And so everyone's mantra, we printed them and put them all around the room with the pink lights. And so you had all these people, I mean, just really cool things like stick with it, never give up, always have fun, learning is fun. Things that our teacher said decorated our training space. So just to fly through this, here's the prompts. We did a little icebreaker. They presented their Barbie self-image. They signed into Chat GPT. So then they had to imagine their Barbie persona comes to life. So the first prompt to them was use Chat GPT to imagine the first thing they would say. So then we gave them some tips on how to use prompts to inspire a range of emotions or perspectives or expressions. And then we had some examples, and then we shared out the backstories. And then we got into the real PD, which was creating a story with those Barbie avatars, sharing that, and then going in and looking at some of the prompts that, or the ways to create a more effective prompt. So we looked at effective verbs and adjectives, Bloom's taxonomy, things like that. My colleague Pablo put these together. So we found that when teachers were left to their own devices, sometimes they would get a response from Chat GPT and they would write, do that again or revise. And they weren't giving a whole lot of language back to Chat GPT. So when we got to this section, it was a way for us to kind of course correct and say, hey, remember when you asked it to rewrite your story and it wasn't that different? Let's look for some of these adjectives that we can put in there to make the outcome that much better. And then we got to a lesson. This was all within 1 hour space. So a lot of front loading, a lot of excitement, but then kind of a real short sprint. And then we got to create a lesson using Chat GPT. So here's an example that we gave them. And then we kind of highlighted and bolded the keywords that we were using to help create a better prompt. Since then, I've actually come across a plugin called Perfect Prompt, which just if you have the paid version, Chat GPT 4, you can add plugins, and there's a prompt called Perfect Prompt. So if you have that on and you type the word perfect, and then you write a prompt that might be a little loose, a little, not fully formed, it will actually put in some of this more perfect language to get a better result. So there's things out there like that to help people. And I actually saw that our teachers did need that. They weren't that versed in using Chat GPT, even though at the district office, we talk about it quite often and use it a lot. So they were getting these lessons back in as a result. So that's kind of the end. And then they did we gave them a link to 50 Chat GPT prompts for teachers. We have our PD schedule, and then somewhere here, last slide was a QR code they scanned, and then they had an exit ticket. So the exit ticket, we said, design the best PD for you using Chat GPT. So put in all the things you would love about PD and ask Chat GPT to design it. And then they were to paste their prompt in for us and the result so that we could learn more about them. So that was really the goal, is that we were trying to learn. So the next, we're going to go back a slide. So like October 25th, we're going to Apple Store in Brea. We have iPads at every site. So we're having a creativity expert, or I think they call him a creative. So one of the creatives from the Apple Store is doing kind of a blend of GarageBand and iMovie. And so we are basing our next PD offerings on some of the things that we learned about them. All right, so that kind of takes us through the bulk of the slides. And so our goal really is, even though it's about AI, it's about Chat GPT, it's about our innovation framework, our goal is really to make teachers feel connected, so that they have people that they can work with, they can call on, they can partner with and collaborate with. And so we're sort of building a cohort this year. So this was one of our first experiences. It worked well. I'm interested if there's any questions or any points of clarification in the presentation. Drop them in the chat or speak up.
Which app did you say you used to create this presentation itself?
Yes, this one is gamma.app. And it's fabulous. I've probably used it 3 times in the last week. So it does web pages. Actually, I've just made a web page for our Apple Store event using it. You can drag in slides. It'll take the text from the slides, or you can just type in. The other day I had to do a principal meeting talking about our ed tech support team, and I just typed in, what does our innovation support team for classroom learning offer you? I just, like a sentence like that, like, what do we offer you? And then it wrote the whole slide deck, and it says, define who you are, talk about the services you offer, the benefits, all the organizational things that, as you can tell from the story I started with, I'm more of a creative type. So all the organizational things, it really helps with. And then I just swapped in some of the artwork for that. So gamma.app. I think you can Google it with Gamma app AI, and it'll pop up as the first one.
I've used it too, and it's pretty cool.
It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because then you can, if you add a slide in somewhere, it'll ask you like, hey, what do you want to say on this slide? And you kind of give it some context, and then it puts it in there, and then you can mess with it, or you can tell it, that's not exactly what I was thinking, and it'll adjust. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. The other thing I've noticed about it is, no matter what content you put in there, it will adjust the size of the slide to the content, versus being, this is my PowerPoint slide, and if you type too many words, it runs over. So there's that. And then it also adapts to the size of the display. So when I look at it on my phone, it looks amazing on my phone. It looks amazing on, I have a very large monitor. It looks great on that. It looks great on this. It looks great on a laptop.
So I have a couple of logistical questions.
Yes.
Was the PD held during the day, or was it after school?
So we have an early release day on Wednesday. So it was like 3:30 to 4:30 on Wednesday. So yeah, after school. And it was also just a technical question. It was not paid. We have stipends and hours for things. But in this case, we just went purely on, hey, if you love innovation, come to this. It's going to be voluntary. Yeah.
That was my next question.
Yeah. And, great group. And there were people that I think allowing people to have a +1, we got people there we wouldn't have. One of the things we noticed is principals nominated teachers that we had on the innovation retreat the last 2 years. So principals identifying people was kind of enhanced by the work we had done. And then those people said yes. So because we had taken them away on these retreats, we have relationships. They know that what we're going to offer is going to be valuable. So I saw that as a mark of doing good work, is those people said, yeah, I'll come and see what this is about.
That's cool. And when you invited them, did you tell them like, hey, this is Barbie ChatGPT, like we're going to learn about AI, or was it was more mysterious than that?
It was more mysterious than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, intrigue that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I think that might not work for everyone. Like,
Yeah.
please tell me what I'm getting into. But there's a sense of playfulness about it. And I think everybody trusted us with that. Yeah. So then going forward, we're being more clear about the topics. It was a little like a kidnapping. I used that word before and I said it wasn't, but it was a little. They didn't really know what they were getting into. So that sense of mystery was part of it. Thanks for the questions. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you for sharing all of this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And Wes, which district are you with?
Fullerton School District. Yeah.
Is that the same as joint union?
We are K8. Yeah. So
Okay.
we have 20 K8 schools.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Awesome.
That's super fun.
Yeah.
How are we doing on time? We good? We have a minute.
2 minutes.
Okay. Thanks for the questions. Any other questions? I'm happy to think of something. Put me on the spot. We're lucky we have in the planning, we have people who are good at decor, like Amy, like we have, hey, we need a Barbie theme, and it just appears because we have somebody we can turn to. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice knowing people's strengths. I think I will stop the sharing.
And I will stop recording.
Okay.